Earlier this week, in a remarkably frank address, the Indigenous leader, former Labor Senator Pat Dodson, has told the rest of us that Aboriginal people are owed more than just equality. Practical reconciliation, he said, and taking steps to close the gap in employment, education and health outcomes are not enough, said Dodson, because that ignores the inherent and collective rights of the First Peoples of Australia. Practical reconciliation, said Dodson, suggests that all the First Peoples are entitled to is equality in the standards of life enjoyed by other citizens and a little more. What he calls, and I quote, a form of psychological terra nullius, is the inability to come to grips with and accommodate the inherent sovereign rights of an Indigenous people in a modern nation state. But what exactly are these inherent sovereign rights? If they're the right to a bigger say than everyone else over what happens in this country, well, effectively that was the proposition of the Voice. And that was overwhelmingly rejected at the recent referendum. If it's the right to benefits over and above the benefits that other Australians enjoy, benefits derived not from need or from general entitlement but from ancestry, if that's the proposition, I don't know, if that was ever put to the Australian people for a national vote, I think it too would be resoundingly defeated. At the same Reconciliation WA event where Dodson was speaking, West Australian Premier Roger Cook announced that every Aboriginal person still living, removed from his or her family prior to 1970, would receive $85,000 from West Australian taxpayers.
In recognition of the harm and trauma experienced by stolen generation survivor under historical laws and policies that disadvantage Aboriginal people.
Now, what sort of burden of proof will Cook apply against these payments? Sure, there were different standards in those days and things done that we wouldn't do now, but it's like payments for this, for what was done legitimately within the laws of the time, they make me very uncomfortable about how we treat the past and our history. As Bob Hawke famously said on the day of our bicentenary in 1988, in this country, there is no hierarchy of descent. There is no privilege of origin. But that's exactly what most Aboriginal activists want, and most Labor MPs are still inclined to give it to them, not just the respect owed, as we should, to the first Australians, but special rights based on ancestry. Now, just as we rejected two classes of citizen during the Voice debate, we must also reject this latest push from Pat Dodson.